Meet my eldest child, Zach. He's a 2019 Air Force Academy grad, currently stationed in Boston. During the Christmas holiday season in 2020, due to the Air Force was not allowing him to travel into California where we live, because it was at the time a lockdown state. So essentially he couldn't come home for Christmas. This was very sad news to all of the family. But when we finished feeling sorry for ourselves, we realized, let's just meet him outside of California. Maybe say Nevada or Utah? First stop.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Our first stop was Vegas Airport to pick up Zach and head to our hotel. We actually spent less than a day touring Las Vegas. We walked the main strip and surprisingly, there were no crowds to speak of. But I don't know, I've never been in Vegas during the holidays. My guess is people stay home or go home for the holidays. But for sure COVID has something to do with it. The following day, it was off to the Valley of Fire. The Valley of Fire is a Nevada state park that is located about 58 miles from the Las Vegas Strip in the Mojave Desert. This was my second visit here. The bright red rock outcrops were super fun to climb with my boys. And now it's off to Utah. Well, here we are. Zion National Park on a very cold Christmas day. This is my first, but not my last. The adventure begins now.
The world it waits to be discovered, every moment filled with wonder. Oh, we know what we were meant for, this great adventure.
After taking the shuttle up Zion Canyon to Riverside Walk, we already knew we needed to come back and stay longer to really enjoy all Zion has to offer. The first hike of the day was Riverside Walk at the north end of the canyon. Riverside Walk is an easy trail, but very scenic and picturesque. The walk is inside the canyon walls, hundreds of feet high, of red Navajo sandstone. The second hike was a moderate hike called Watchman Trail. It's a 3.3-mile hike with a 368 elevation gain that ends in a spectacular viewpoint of the lower Zion Canyon.
Looking up.
What an awesome view of Lower Zion Canyon. But the next day, it was off to Bryce Canyon. The drive was just under 3 hours from our hotel in St. George, where we stayed for a week in Utah. The first time Gina and I visited Bryce, the weather was warmer. It was definitely very chilly during this visit. With Zach and Jake, we hiked to the bottom of the amphitheater, where it was even colder and there was lots of snow on the ground. As far as hikes go, that one hike is all we had time for. The second part of the visit was the scenic southern drive along the canyon rim with spectacular scenic outlooks.
I wanna run in wide spaces, fly like the wind in high places, rushing like water on my face, with your hand in my hand.
We did not spend much time in Capitol Reef because it was snowing very heavily.
I will go with you. Watch the ocean.
Cars were sliding on the road and trails were too cold to hike. We'll be back.
Run away with me, where the morning paints the scene. Where the fire, we're the glow.
So we moved on to Moab.
We found love, we won't let go. In the twilight of the night, see the colors burst in the sky. Watch the world fade away. We're wide awake, searching through the stars for magic from afar. Look inside, you'll see the magic's underneath.
When we got to Moab, the entry to the actual park was closed. But a ranger said there is a scenic drive we can take that offers plenty to see and do. She was right. There were stops along the way that featured short hikes to some amazing views. We got to see several petroglyphs and even some dinosaur tracks embedded in the stone. We could have actually stayed longer, but it began to snow, so we headed back to the car.
Where the fire, we're the glow. We found love, we won't let go. In the twilight of the night, see the colors burst in the sky.
Kolob Canyon was our final destination.
Fade away. We're wide awake.
We're so glad we didn't miss this. Kolob Canyon is actually a section of Zion National Park, but far from the crowds of the main canyon. Kolob Canyon is a 5-mile scenic drive up the canyon and ends up at a high point that gives the best views of the canyon.
See the colors burst in the sky. Watch the world fade away. We're wide awake.
From there we headed back to Las Vegas to drop Zach off at the airport, and we headed back home to California. What a fantastic way to spend Christmas. But one huge thing I didn't mention. My daughter, the youngest, wasn't able to make the trip with us. She was not very happy about it, but we made up for it when we got back. That's next week's video.
Here we go. Ready? 3, 2.